All right, so now we have just started our session, actually, even though we've reached the time, but bear with us, this is going to be a short session. It won't exceed 30 to 40 minutes. So we are going to be looking at HTML images and as well as links and also lists. So those are the three elements that we are going to focus on in today's session. So I'll first start with going to my full stack dev folder and making sure that I create inside another folder called intro to images, lists. I'll just do lists and then links like this. You can as well do the same thing. As long as it is meaningful to you, please just do that. You can even do a smaller one, but just make sure you remember whatever name you called your folder. So mine, I've called it intro to IMG. That is how we are going to be writing the tag of image, then this, then links. Then this is how we make a folder by doing mkdir. This command works in both Windows and MacBooks, I think. So mkdir is make directory. A directory is a folder. So now we'll have to go into that folder by doing cd, change directory. So by doing cd, we can always use auto-completion by pressing tab key. Tab key is the second key after escape. So if you press it, it might end when it hasn't yet auto-completed everything. It means there is another word that actually starts with this, intro to. You will need to write at least some other words and also again press tab, it will auto-complete. So I would recommend using tab so many times because, we are humans, we can always make mistakes when we are typing. So I'll change my directory to now intro to images. You can see I'm from dev, full stack dev to this one. And once I'm there, I can now open this folder in VS Code by just doing code dot. I press enter, this is going to open the other folder of intro to IMG list links in my VS Code. So that is what that command do, this one of code dot. Code is a VS command and dot is saying use VS Code to open the current directory. A dot means current. So now, after opening it in my VS Code, I'll now start by creating a file called index.html. You can create a file by using these icons. When you hover on top of them, you actually get some labels. This is a new file, this is a new folder, and this is Refresh Explorer, which is this workspace. This one you see here. And this is for collapsing. If you have so many folders open, you can click here to collapse all the folders, right? And we're also going to create another folder called images, like this. I hope that is well understood. So you can also do the same thing. If I delete all these things, you can do the same thing by using your VS Code. You can do mkdir images. Because we are already in that directory, it will be created here. So if I press enter, you can see images was created, and I can also create a file using touch. This command doesn't exist in Windows, I guess. Touch doesn't exist. It might have an alternative, but I don't know. But make sure always you'll be using git bash. Always as a developer, you need to use bash. We do not use the normal CMD for Windows. Even here we have git bash, but I'm using Zesh because also does the same thing. So now we can do touch index.html to create a file, which will be like this. You can see index.html file was created, but don't mind about this since you already have an alternative of creating them using this, right? So now, after creating our folder, and file will go in index.html, and let me zoom in. If we go in our HTML file, now we can start by creating in some basic structure of HTML. We create a basic structure of HTML by just writing in an exclamation mark. You can see it will actually even show you what is going to be created. If we hit enter, it will create this basic HTML structure. And you can as well use the same thing by just doing HTML, writing HTML. Please don't choose this, use HTML5. This is the newer version of HTML. So we did also this in the second session. I guess you also need to watch the recording in case when you're not following along or you're not understanding some of the concepts here. So this, we'll just delete this because right now we don't need any metadata. We shall explain it later when we reach there. So we only need the title, which is something that actually shows in your tab on your web browser. So let me open this. We open this by going to go live. If I click on go live, I should be able to open this in my browser. So right now, you see, I don't have anything displayed because I don't have anything in my body. Whatever goes in the body, this is what displays. So the only thing I have that I wanted to show you at the moment is this. You can see this word document. This is the title. You can always change this title by coming and change this. I will change it, introduction to images, lists, and links. So let us actually, let us do this. So this is an introduction, or maybe let us start with lists, and then links, and then images, like this. So you can also, again, format by using Command and S. If you notice, for me, I am typing, I do not need to save my document. I forgot to actually mention this in the past sessions. For me, whenever I type, I'm not saving anything, and it's actually automatically saved. For you guys, whenever you type, you need to hit Command and S or Control and S for you to save your file. The reason as to why I don't need to save, it's because I changed it within the VS Code settings. Let me go with you guys through this. If you're on a computer, please do the same thing. You just need to hit these settings. If you hit settings, are we together? You will see something also again called settings. Click on it and you'll be taken here. As well, you can use a command by doing Command, Shift, and P. Then you can write in settings. You'll be able to open the same thing. But this command, I don't know if for the Windows computers, if you use Control, Shift, and P, I don't know if it will work, but try it. Try to do Control, Shift, and P. But if you can't do that command, if you can't do that shortcut. Sorry, I usually confuse command and shortcut. If you can't do that shortcut, please make sure you just go on this icon, the setting icon, click on settings, then you go to this page. I hope you can see this screen. Let me make sure, yes, you can see it. So, and now you will type in autosave. I think this is how it is called, autosave. When you go on autosave, there is no autosave as on or off. It is always off, after delay, on focus change, and so on. Choose after delay. We want to set the autosave after a certain delay. And we'll make sure that we save a lowest delay. You can imagine a lowest delay such as 1 microsecond. That one is almost unnoticeable, right? So we'll just click after delay, and then we will move down. I think it's down here. Yes. Where is it? There is somewhere it is written. Well, for me, I actually did 0. You can even do 0, but again, you can do 1. 0 or 1. You can do 1. 1 microsecond is very small. It can't be noticed. You'll be typing and it will automatically be saving, right? This is milliseconds. So 1 millisecond, 10 milliseconds, it's the same. Just do 1 and 0 actually is okay. 0 is actually also okay. So imagine an after delay of 0, it means it's like almost autosave, which is on, right? If you're done making these changes in the user, go also to the workspace and do the same or leave it, right? But you can always do the same to make sure that you do not confuse yourself. You can set it also to 0. So whatever most of the settings we do in the user, we can also do it in the workspace to make sure that whoever else logs into our computer and wants to use VS Code using their user profile should also get the same settings we have.
May I check?
Check.
So for that or for autosave, I think for me I'm using the Windows, so I can go to the file on the top, file or button.
Here.
And there is okay
Like
on the
this?
top file.
Here.
No, yeah, yes. So there is, I think, the autosave for the Windows users. Autosave option, I think, for the Windows users is there.
Yeah, that would be something really great. So please make sure you check it out. So can you check it out on your laptops? For me, I can't actually see it here. But
Yeah.
if it's there on Windows laptops, please make sure you enable it. This will prevent you guys from always hitting save.
Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for mentioning that actually. So I hope everyone with a Windows laptop should do that. If you can't do it, please write in the chat. It will actually guide you. And I can see somebody, for me, is showing only 3 exclamation points. I think this was the question related to getting a boilerplate, this one. If we need to get some boilerplate like this, you will see the first exclamation mark, I guess. If you can't see it, just write in HTML and you choose HTML5. There is always an alternative. All right, I'll paste back the quotes that I had before. So now, this title should now be visible in our browser. Let me refresh. It should be visible on top here. You can see it there. I hope this one is visible, yes. And as I said, the only reason we don't have anything displaying in our body is because we don't have anything in our body here, because this is where all the content goes. So now, as I said, we are going to start with lists. So let us start with learning lists. I'll just go on with a comment. I'll do a comment of lists. So there are 3 types of lists. There is ordered lists. Let us start with this one. We shall be mentioning one and then we look at an example. So there is ordered lists. I'll comment this. So ordered lists, or the syntax of an element of an ordered list, it's OL. It's simple. OL as ordered list. So let's say you guys happen to write something and you delay to click on this, or maybe click outside it and it's gone. So do not actually delete this and write again, because you can just do control and space. It will bring back the suggestions, right? Control and space. It's the same thing actually on both computers, Macs and Windows. So you click on it or press enter, you will get your ordered list. This is the syntax. Isn't it simple? This is the opening tag and this is the closing tag. The only difference within the opening and closing tag is this / here. You can see that, right? So now, as I said, between the opening and closing tag, we should have the content. The content can be text, raw text, or also can be other elements. So these are one of the elements whereby we should always have some nested elements. So the nested elements are list items, li. So list items, this is where our items or item texts are written. So let's say I want to list a list of, let's say I have here an H3 and I would say list of fruits. An H3, then I would have in my list here, which is ordered. Ordered means it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. So I would have in mangoes. I would have in another list also and give it banana, and also another list, and maybe give it oranges like this. So when we go into our browser, remember we are using a live server, it will automatically restart our browser to see the changes. So when I go to my browser, I should see a list of fruits. So if I go there, now you can see I have a beautiful list of fruits, which are well arranged in order. 1, 2, 3. That is what we call an ordered list. So we do that by just doing an OL, which is ordered list, and then LI, which are list items. So the beauty about programming, some words are actually like abbreviations of full words, like you can understand ordered list, OL, LI, list items, right? H3, heading 3. It's easy. It's easy to actually put it into your head. So now, let's go on another type of list, which is called an ordered list. I need somebody to tell me this. An ordered list. I also comment this. Remember, we do comments by doing command / or control /, right? And if you can't do such shortcut, you can always type this. It's a less than sign, an exclamation, 2 hyphens, you put in whatever comment, and you end up with the 2 hyphens and a greater sign. It's good to know shortcuts, but again, it's good to understand what they do. If those shortcuts will never be there, you should be able to actually do the same thing they used to do, right? All right, so I'll just go ahead with somebody who can tell me how we can now write an ordered list. Try to guess it through, as I said, programming terms are sometimes abbreviations or full texts. So you can now understand how do we write an ordered list from the ordered list.
Okay,
Yes,
I think it's the U arrow.
perfect. So it will be now UL because U then list. Simple. Then inside the unordered list, we are also going to have LIs like this. It's list item, right? So we can now have also the same things. Let's have in the same things. Bananas and then oranges like this. If you now head over to our browser, you can see the difference. Can you guys notice the difference? The first one is ordered and the other ones are not ordered. They're just with some bullets, right? So now let us go on the last one. This one also, you should be able to guess it. So it is called description list. 3, description list. I'll also go ahead and comment this. For guys, for those who are actually using this playground, please, you can do the same thing. You can have in the same thing. You can see they were displayed. The only problem, they're displaying in black. Remember, you need to attach your CSS. They're bringing the other things of seconds. But you already saw this, you need to attach your CSS. But even if you leave it like this, as long as it's visible, even though it's black, right? Let me delete this and see. So you should be able to now use the link and attach your CSS, which is, oh my goodness. I think it's 8 lines in a day. Let's move on with VS Code. So at least this will make you guys download VS Code, right? So now let's move on to our description list. So description list is also self-explanatory. So this is whereby you have a list of some items that you also need to at least add in some description, right? So a description list is a list of some terms or some items in general. So it is also written as, who can also tell me the syntax? Let me pick somebody. Let me pick somebody. I'm going to pick a lady. Let's go on with Lulu. Mic check. Mic check, Louise. Some of you guys are now going to stop from answering. Guys, mic check. Okay. Let's move on with another lady. Samuela. Mic check, Samuela.
Check.
So how should we now go on with the description list? How should we write it?
Description. I guess D.
Mm-hmm.
DE.
It's description list. Try to refer from the rest up here. So if ordered list was OL and unordered list was UL, now how should description list look like? So all these strategies I'm actually teaching you guys, these are strategies to kind of like, oh, let me remove this from actually here. It is supposed to go here. So all these strategies is for you guys to understand how you can always remember certain syntax of an element. So now, how should we write it? Back to you, Samina.
I guess it's D or D.
Just a D?
No, DE.
Why DE? Can you please refer to how we made we were arranging the others? I'm like, if ordered list was like OL, if an ordered list is OL, and if an ordered list is UL, how should this be? Why are you saying DE?
Okay. The first one is OL, but it's kind
The
of
first one is a
obvious.
D. Yes. The first one is obvious. You mean like the OL and UL are obvious? No. Look at this, Samela. Ordered list. O list L.
Oh, DL. I guess it's DL. DL.
This one is
DL. Yeah,
DL.
it's DL.
Simple,
Yeah,
right?
it's DL. Yeah.
So now we have our DL. So DL is now the description. It stands for the description what? Description list, right? So now what goes inside the DL? Anybody? What should go inside the DL? So inside the DL, we should have the DT and the DD. So what do they stand for? Let me put some comments. So DD, these are going to be comments. So the DD stands for, this one's that, why did let me start with the DT. So the DT stands for description term. Description term. And now if I do a duplicate of this and do DD, this will stand for the description definition. So now the first one is going to be our DT. Let's say the DT can be comprised of maybe, I don't know, let me just write fruits. And then after writing fruits, and now we can have some DD below that. So let's say things that belong to maybe fruits. I'm kind of this. I'm trying to come up with content. So let's say mangoes, Let me just do at least 2 oranges. And also below again here, I'll just do a DT, which is a different thing to this. Then DT now I'll have in, let's say, types of what? Gender. Let me just give this example, gender. Then DD, I'll just put in male, then DD, female. Then if I try to observe this in my browser, you can see how now it will look like, right? So this is our overall heading, and these are some items inside it, and the other one, and so on. So, but this one, you use it less likely in your codes. So the popular ones are OL and UL. These are the ones you mostly use in your web pages. And again, remember, we can always change all these default settings within our CSS or by using the styles. When we come to the styles, we'll see how we can change all of that. So, perfect. And now we are done with the lists. So I hope everyone understands how lists work. If there are any questions, please ask before we move on. All right. If there are no questions, then it means everything was understood. I can see in the charts. Okay, all right. Some people left immediately when I started asking. But again, for the next sessions, guys, be careful. I will be telling you to share your screen and also guide us into a certain thing and so on. So that is why you need to always make sure we are going together. So now let's move on with the links. So I'll create a new HTML file called links.html like this. Now I'll also put in another boilerplate and put in links. I'll remove the metadata, make it simple like this. Links now. So links or hyper, and say hyperlinks. Let me just remove links. Hyperlinks like this. So now a hyperlink is done with what we call an anchor tag. It's an A tag. It's an A tag. So who can tell me the syntax? The syntax, please. If any one of you guys happen to know how the syntax looks. So it's an A tag, as I said. You should have noticed. When you start writing A, you can press enter, and at least the required attribute it should have. This is called an attribute. I will explain. The required attribute it should have, it's called an href, a hyperlink reference. So this is a reference to your link, because whatever is going to be a link, it needs to have, if you click on it, where should it take you? So this is where you put it. So let's say I want to write in search on Google. Then it means I need to provide in here that search, the Google search link, which is https like this, google.com. So this means when I go to my browser, I should be able to see this link. And when I click on it, I should go to google.com, right? So it is always a good practice to start with this on a link. This is also allowed, but it is always a good practice to start with this. Some browsers do not accept links that are not well formatted. Formatted links are like this. It is either HTTPS or HTTP. HTTP are not secure, and we are not allowed to use such links. So whenever you're about to click on the link, first check if it is secure or unsecure. So secure links are recommended, HTTPS. So now, all right, so once we go in our browser, we should be able to see this link of search on Google. So if we go to our browser, we are still seeing the index.html. How do we go to this web page? Because as I said when we started the HTML introduction, every HTML here, it is a web page on its own. It is a web page on its own. So index.html is a web page on its own. Then links.html should be also a web page on its own, which means if we want to achieve the link, we do link, is it links? Links.html. And we press enter, we'll be taken to the web page of links.html. Is this well understood? A question in the chat. Yes. So if this one is well understood, then let's move on. So again, we can always go back to index.html. We will still see the other page. Or the index page, you can even omit its file name and you just press this. It will always show up, which means index.html is a special file. It is a special file. The reason why it is very special, this is the first file every browser looks for to start propagating. So which means whenever you're hosting, the host servers will always look for the file called index.html. In fact, if you look at so many programming languages, they will end up if there's a front-end programming language, it will always have index.html. In most of the cases, like let me give you an example. Let me show you some codes. I have some codes which are open here, I guess. I closed them. Let me show you some codes to show you that most of the files will always include an index.html. Let me go to this one. So if you look at these codes, you can see this is what I told you when we were learning these icons. You can see a lot of things are open, right? If I want to collapse all of these things, I'll just click this. You can see it has collapsed all the folders. So if you look closely to these files and you open, you don't even have to open any folder. You can see here there is an index.html. And this is JavaScript. This is React. So there is an index.html. This is an entry point. It is an entry point. So every browser will come and look for this, and this will bootstrap the rest. We normally use the word bootstrap. It will actually kind of call the rest. You can see it here. It is calling the rest. It is calling now an element with ID root, and it is also calling the JavaScript files. So every time there is an index.html, just know that that file will be listened to before any other file. That is why when we leave out the extension, when we leave out the file name as index.html, it still works because it will look for the default file, which is index.html. I hope you understand. I hope you understand why on different browsers, we do not see, let's say, what name? We do not see something like, we do not see like nijohn maybe .dev/index.html. It is there actually, but it is hidden because by default it can open it, right? So please make sure you understand this. So if you want another link that is not index.html, you should add the name of the file with its extension, links.html, then it will go to the web page. So now if I click on this, I should be able to be navigated to whatever is specified inside the href. So if I click on it, you can see now I am taken to the google.com, right? Which is what I specified here, right? So now let's move on with the attributes. So attributes, these are added elements. I don't want to use the word elements so that you do not confuse it to tags. So, but attributes, these are keys, if I would say. These are special keywords let me use that word. These are special keywords that add value or add certain behaviors to our HTML files. I mean HTML elements. So if we add another attribute, a known attribute called target is an attribute. So target has values such as blank, parent, self, top, but we mostly use blank, and by default it's parent. Like the way the way we opened this here, this was parent, which means it will actually open within the same page that link was. You can see if we click, it will actually open within this page. But if we put there a target attribute and we specify that blank, this is commonly used, this will open now this link in a new tab. So if we click on this, you can see it just opened it in a new tab. It left out the other one we were working in. It opened the new one. So this is commonly used if we do not want our users to lose the page they were on, but we navigate them to a newer tab. And they can do whatever things they want to do, and they can always come back and continue with our site pages, right? All right, I guess this is well understood, very clear. When we start learning CSS, we'll see how we can change these colors, how we can make this into a button instead of being just a text with an underline. So there is always a way we can remove all of this and change even the colors. These are all default colors. So that is why CSS is very powerful. So now, we can again, we'll actually see that. So this is how, in other words, a link is created. So now let us go to images. We'll create another one called images.html. I'll put in my boilerplate and then I'll do images. We are almost coming to the end. Please, guys, don't get tired, right? We still have all of you guys. I think some of the people have left the call, but it's okay. Let's continue. But don't get tired. We are remaining with a few things and interesting. So we are now going to do we are going to look at images. So the syntax of images, it's IMG. If you click on this, you can obviously see a change in the way the syntax is written. What is that change? Take 30 seconds and observe. Look at other elements. We have so many elements.
It doesn't have a closing tag.
Perfect. It doesn't have a closing tag. It is called what we call a self-closing tag or a self-closing element. So it doesn't have a closing tag, in other words. So, and now it is showing two attributes which are very important. There is a source attribute. This source attribute will contain the path of that image. What image do we want to show? And then the alt attribute will contain an alternative to the image, which means it will contain some text that will show in case we can't access the image or in case the image is not visible. If the image is visible, you will never see the alt or the alternative. But if the image is not visible, let's say if the path is broken, if the link is unavailable, you can always make sure there is an alternative for some people, for the users to actually know that this was actually supposed to display an image that looks like this, maybe a flower. So let me try to look for can you see this thing that is coming VS Code settings? This was due to the cause that I changed some of the settings. So do not mind about this. When we now start looking into advanced Git, we'll introduce what we call git ignore. This file should always be omitted. It should always go in the git ignore so that it is never pushed on the GitHub. Because everybody has their own VS Code settings. The way my VS Code looks is not the same way yours looks. So you can delete it or you can even leave it. Later on, we shall see how we can do the git ignore. We can even see it in this session if you guys still agree. It is just one file and that's it. Since we already learned git. So now, let me look for an image. I'll just go here. I usually like to look for my images on Unsplash. This is where all the developers usually look for the images because these are high quality images and most of them are really free. I'll just look for mountains. Then I'll just pick up, let me pick up this one. This one looks, no, this is not free. Let me look at, let me take this one. It looks better. Or this one. This one is free. Wherever you see a download icon, it means it's free. And if you don't see it there, it means that one would cost you, would require you to pay some money here and Splash. So I have downloaded it. I don't know why it is actually going slow, but let's wait for it. So, but let me hope you all have this structure and you have the image folder. This is where I'm going to put my images. We usually open or create an image folder or sometimes even call it public. And we put in our images or even other assets, videos, audios, and so on. So if this, but I think I even have this image on the computer. It's this one actually. Let me stop. This is the same image I used. So I'll see the image, then I can drop it on my desktop. I don't know how you usually manage your files, but all I want, just make sure you bring it up until you put it in your folder. And this is something everyone should try. Rename the file as mounted. This is something that you should all try. If you do not have all these codes, at least try to create an image folder and try to download an image and bring it there inside that folder. I don't know how you will do it, but I don't know how you normally manage your files. But remember all these codes you have here. All these codes you have here, they are also available on your desktop. If you go to wherever you have specified your folder, let's say for me, it's on the desktop. In the full stack dev, it's here. You can see they are here. Introduction to image, you can see the images are here. This is my image, right? So you can always do the same. Try to make sure that it is brought inside the images. I don't know how you will do it. If you drag and drop, if you do copy and paste, if it works, that's okay. But as long as you bring it up inside the images folder. Just write in the chat, done, once you're done. Let's take 1 minute. No, not all images are requiring payment. Try to scroll down, you will see some free images. When you scroll down like this, you'll see a lot of free images. Every image that has a download, it's free. Images that are not free, they have this, a lock and download. But every image that has this icon, you can download it. Like this one, I can download it. You can see. Let me download it. Because it actually looks nice. For me, I usually do drag and drop. So if you can manage to do drag and drop, or if it works on your computer, that is okay. Like if this one finishes downloading, I'll drag and drop it. You'll see how I'll do it. I'll make sure I open its folder. I think everyone has this, even on Windows. You open it, it will be visible here, and I will drag and drop it. I'll make sure I hold it. I continue to the other screen, then I'll come. I'm still pressing my mouse. I'll make sure until I come to the folder, then I can release. It will go there, then I can rename it. Sunset. I don't know if there's even, no. Let me rename it to mouse. Renaming on Mac, you just need to select that thing, you press your Enter key or Return key, and then you can rename it. On Windows, you right-click and then go on Rename. I only see 2 people done. We all need to practice this, please. Thirty more seconds. All right. So for those who haven't tried that or haven't got successful, you can continue trying that later on, but please make sure you do so. Because you will never create a website that doesn't have images. Even assets, everything is actually done in the same way we're going to do images. So even audio, video, they also have a source attribute whereby you're going to record in the path of your image. So now let us go on. Please follow. So here inside here, first here, I'm going to have in mountain picture. You can do picture, but in some languages like React, when you write picture, it will warn you that it already knows it's a picture because it's image. It already knows it's a picture. So it will most of the times give you a warning to remove picture or image, something like that. But if you just write mountain, anybody will know it's a mountain. So now source will contain the path to that image. So I need also, guys, again, for you guys to understand how we do path. So right now, if we just do a dot, we are in our current directory, this one where the image is located, where the image.html is located. And remember, guys, we want to go into images. We are not going behind. We are not moving a step behind. We are going straight to this images folder. So it means it's just one dot and a slash. If you put there a slash, trust me, your VS Code will give you some suggestions. Then you're going to move into the images. A folder is, I'm having these beautiful icons because I have an extension called material icons. That is why I have these icons. So I have an extension called material icons. So I'll press images, and then it will give me more suggestion. Then I'll choose whatever image I want. I'll choose mountain.jpg. Then after doing this, it means that I should be able to see now my image in the browser. And if you can't even see that this is a clickable link, it means you have not specified well your path. So now, if I go back to my browser, I should be able to see image. And if I go, then I will need to go into images.html, right? You see my picture, but it is very huge and very stretched. So I need to give it sizes. So in images, we have also another attribute called width and height. You can specify inside here the width. You can say the width you want it to be 200 pixels and the height you want it to be 300 pixels. Then your image will now be smaller in accordance to the sizes you have specified here. I did Command Save or Control S or Command S to have this well-formatted codes. So you can see I have my image in accordance to the width and height I gave them, right? So that is how we do images. I hope you all understand this. And now we can as well have an image as a link. We can just introduce an anchor tag, the link tag, and inside, instead of putting their content, we put in an image like this. I'll just copy and paste that. We put in an image inside. You know, we can nest elements into other elements. So now this anchor tag, I'll need to give it a link that has a relation with this image. So the link I'm going to put there, it is going to be a link that is on Unsplash, the link of this image. I'll just copy this and bring it here in the href, right? So now if I come back to my browser, these are different. Do you see when I hover on the first one, I get a pointer cursor? And when I hover on, I get a narrow cursor. And when I when I hover on this, I get a pointer cursor. Can you notice the difference?
Yes.
This is a narrow, this is a pointer. So wherever you see a pointer, it means that thing is clickable. You understand it?
Yes.
Wherever you see a pointer, it means it's clickable. Even when you start doing a CSS, you will be making sure that whatever in your code that is a link, you give it a cursor of pointer to actually indicate to people that that thing is clickable. So I can click on this and now go to the Unsplash link. So did you see that it just opened into my current browser, current tab? So I need to put there a target. Sorry, need to put there a target of blank so that it should open in a new tab as it did. I still have my current tab and it opened it here, right? Perfect. So I hope all of this is clear. All right. So now, one last thing. We are going to look at background images. I took long, I had to finish up this. Sorry, background images. And I hope you guys also want to learn a lot. We are only learning 3 elements, right? So background images, I'll just have in this. And I'll just do background images. And then I can open up this and I go here, right? Then I'll put in, I want to introduce a background. I'll put in here an H1. There is an element called center, by the way. Center, it's not commonly used. I even don't know why it is red usually, different from other elements. But let's say, when you put in an H1 and we say hello world, like this, you can see this element will be centered, right? it will be centered when we use a center element. So now, some of the elements we'll be using them hand in hand with the elements we are learning, right? Now I want to put in a background image to this whole body. So I will now do style, because style is the only thing that can add styles, because putting a background image is also style. Then I'll do background image. If I do background color and put there a red color, this will give it a background color of red, right? So, but I don't want background color. I want background image. And background image takes in a value of URL. So usually styles have what we call a property, which is this one, and a value. So for the CSS of a background image, we have a value of a function, which is a URL. So this URL takes in a path. You can either do single quotes or double quotes. The same applies actually here. It is not a must to do double quotes. You can even do single quotes, right? But you need to adapt to one thing. For me, I'm normally used to single quotes in most of the cases. I usually even format my codes to make sure that it formats all the codes with single quotes. So now inside here, we are going to have the path of the image. So remember, our image is located in images. It's the same thing, and then mountain. So if we go back here, we can see we have a background image, but this background image is not well formatted, right? We should at least want to see some hills. Yes, I saw somebody raise the hand. Yes, Jose.
Well, my problem is very few. It not allow me to edit the name of the file, so that's why I had a problem when I was following up with the image. So I didn't follow up because I can't write the name.
So sorry, what I didn't hear you clearly. Somebody was interfering actually. A kid.
Yeah, my VS Code.
Mhm.
So we started the first one, and I know we started the second one, the third one was image. So when I was opening the new file, was not
What did
accepting
you
me
mean
to
the
write
third,
the
the
name.
third one? The third one? You mean the files, the names of files?
Yes. It's not accepting me to write the name of the file. For example, the image, I didn't follow up this one, the image.
When you
Because
go on the image, you can right click and then rename.
Yeah, so it's not showing me this option.
It should. Can you right click and try to look into your options, a rename option?
Yes, there's no rename. Even when I'm clicking new folder, it's appear, but it's not showing me edit option. It say untitled.
Are you sure you're using VS Code? When
Yes,
you
this is
or maybe close it and open it again. Close it like this, and then you can open it again from down here. If you pinned it again, if you have pinned it on the taskbar, you should be able to open it by right-clicking on it and open the name of the folder you want to open. Before going, rather than doing the CD and so on and code dot, you can as well open your files from your VS Code if you have pinned it on your taskbar. Close it and reopen it and see, maybe it's a processor problem probably, but it should show.
closed.
I'll be formatting this.
Oh,
It's showing, right?
No, it's not showing. So it's a doc type HTML, but it's not showing me the option to rename. And
Are you right-clicking? Or maybe it's doing this. Is it showing you this?
file story. Let me see.
Is it
Oh.
showing you this? I've tried to right click somewhere. Is it showing these things like this?
For me, when I do right click, it show
But you need
open.
to do right click when you have selected.
Yes, I selected
You
one.
select it and then right click, you should see rename.
Yeah. So here it's so open the slide, reopen editor, save, select for compare, close order, close save it, close all. This is the option.
Interesting. Can we look at that when we are done with? We are remaining with only a few minutes to complete this.
Yes.
We can look at that later on, because it's weird. So we will look at that. So let us first finish these background images, then we'll look at that. So let me go back to the background folder file. So you can see I have a background image here, but now the background image is not well looking. So there are so many other properties that go on with this. So where your URL thing ends, you can put there a semicolon to write more styles. This was the first style. After the first style, you can add another semicolon. You can add a semicolon and add on more styles. And we'll go on with background size. Background size has something we call cover. If you pick cover, you can see now it looks nice, right? It means that it will cover your whole screen. That is what it means. But if you choose contain, you saw background size has also a property called contain. I mean a value called contain. This is how contain will look like. It will try to exactly put it on the default size of it, and now it will repeat all the images until they fit the background. If you don't want it to print repeated images, you put there another property called background repeat, and you give it a no repeat. It will now display when it is only one. You see? So you can go ahead and play on with these styles, but these are all in the styles, and we'll repeat this when we go into CSS. It's just that it is related to images. We had to bring it up. But let me remove no, I will keep it as no repeat. Then I would, instead of contain, I would do cover like this so that it becomes beautiful like this, right? And then you can write words on top of it, and I'll give you an assignment where you have to do something that looks like this. Do you see how this image looks? There are some images, I mean words written on top of it, but this is not an image that exactly looks like this. You can see an image is somehow darker. It's not how the image looks. The image looks like this. Let me show you how the image looks. The real image, how it looks. Let me see if I will find it. The problem with Next, it's hard to actually inspect and find because it is mostly in the background. Let me see. Okay, this is the image. Let me open it so that you see. Do you see how the image looks? It is different from this. Here it looks brighter, but here it looks somehow dim. Can you see that? So I overlaid something on top of it to make sure that I am able to write on some words and become visible. So this is what we call an overlay. So it's whereby you overlay on the image something, and then you write on top of it some words. So this is your assignment you're going to do. You're going to do something like this, like the same thing we are building here, but you add an overlay here, right? It's sort of trying to welcome you now into CSS, because the next steps we are going to learn some CSS. So now this is the end of our session. If there are questions, please ask. Try selecting the file and then hit F2. Mic check. Jose was asking a question. You can try to do these things that Shaka is telling you. Try selecting the file and hit F2 key. F2 it's on the first line of your keyboard keys on top. I think that one should work actually, you're right. Is it working, Jose? All right, so we are coming to the end of our session. Please, if there are questions, you can ask. If there are no questions, then we can call it a night. We have used 2 hours, but which is really nice. Counting 1, 2, 3. So silence means there are no questions. Then we can call it a night. So I'll stay on the call with Jose to check on the issue he's having and let's see if he was able to resolve it. But for the others, before you leave, let me first take a screenshot of the attendance. I think there is one person who actually got off the call. I think that one will need to record their attendance at least. So let me stop recording.